Hi, Dr. Satyam. Welcome to our channel today. We prepared some question for you. You were the first chief data scientist the oil and gas industry ever had. What did that job even look like before there was a template for it?
Thank you so much. So it's a very interesting question. Yes, 2014 something, 2013 we started this journey, and when I joined the oil and gas industry, there were senior leaders who told me that you are in a wrong industry, that nobody will look at big data, AI, the you want to do it. And of course, now it is a transition. Every oil company has become quote unquote digital company, right? So it's been a long journey, and it required a great amount of mindset change. People are scared because two reasons. One, they think that most of the people have been sitting on inefficiencies in this industry. There was a article in 2017 or something in World Oil magazine which says oil gas companies have destructed capital for a long time, and the numbers are very big in it. And if you look at it, what data does is reveal all that inefficiency. And so a lot of people never wanted to look at data the way AI actually allows you to do that. And hence there were a lot of what do you call resistance to adopting this. But I prevailed. I wrote number of articles at that time, and today every oil company wants to do AI.
Your PhD is quantum field theory, and now you are translating quantum computing into plain language for CEOs. Which is harder, the physics or explaining it to a boardroom?
Physics is fundamentally easy. Even quantum physics is very easy. It's explaining it to business leaders, whether it is AI, any new technology which disrupts industries. It is a resistance to learn by the large population. But there are always some good leaders who want to learn and move on. But otherwise, there is a lot of resistance. But so in that sense, what you do is you try to simplify and saying how it is applicable to their business. And that is in that sense, I would say it takes initial effort to teach the top leadership about these exponential technologies.
Halliburton isn't the company most people associate with AI. What convinced them they needed a chief data scientist in the first place?
That's a very good question. I don't know, but I'm sure the some of the leaders thought of how to leverage data that was existing, and so they brought me in from outside the industry. I'm not from oil and gas company. I spent my years in science as a professor and in internet companies like AOL and others. So they certainly brought me in from outside to bring a new thinking to the company. So kudos to the leaders who brought me in to oil and gas company, and it's been a great ride for me. I left Halliburton in 2023 to expand my horizons and make a bigger impact using exponential technologies.
Your new book is basically a quantum glossary for executives. What's the one term people misuse the most in real meetings?
Yeah, so in the last 5 to 7 years, you will see there is a lot of discussion on quantum computing, quantum technologies, quantum cryptography. All these terms are there, but fundamentally everything works on algorithms. And so a lot of people will talk about algorithms, and then when they see the math formula, they get really scared. So we thought, what is the best way to tell people how this math is actually simple for when you apply to business? And in the sense, we built this first volume of simple terms, all algorithms, where if they're interested, they can look at the science in a real scientific paper, or they can read what is Shor's algorithm, correct? Or what is quantum cubo, right? So these are the terms that people use. We actually just put them in simple English words, so anybody can read it.
You talk about the agentic oil field, AI systems that reason and act, not just report. How far off is that from actually happening?
So there is no such thing as it will happen one day. This is a journey. agentic AI field, one has to build those things and they have to start now. What I wrote in that article is it is time. The industry has talked about smart field and digital oil field for last 20 years. But unfortunately, there is not a single completely digital oil field that exists. Uh, Again, the fundamental lies that the data has to be used. So now you can't build traditional models and then try to build agentic models. Now the time has come that we should start with agentic model directly, so that you can actually leapfrog to a futuristic oil industry, because cost of producing oil is always a challenge. And as a result, I think it's time for people to start the journey now and hopefully see a progress in less than 1 year to 2 years instead of 5 and 10 years of their technology implementation.
Regnite feature is about helping leaders adopt new tech the right way. What's the wrong way you keep seeing?
One of the most wrong way is short-term vision and very focus on short-term return on investment. With AI ecosystem, whether traditional AI, generative AI, or agentic AI, one has to really look at in terms of return on innovation and think of what's the long-term perspective and how continuously you are transforming yourself. And so I think the biggest thing is say short-term vision and short-term return on investment. I think the wrong way to do it. The second one is that whole concept of, oh, let's do proof of concept. The proof of concept, what concept are they trying to prove? Whether the data works or whether the AI model works, both have been proven. What they have to do is proof of value. And hence the POC people talk, and then you read articles that POC never made to production because of the short-term vision of the leaders that actually oversee such programs.
Your team recently mapped the entire cryogenics market for quantum hardware buyers. Why does that kind of unglamorous, deep in the weeds research matter more than another AI pitch deck?
So this was I think this question is for my team in global quantum intelligence. So global quantum, I'm one of the board advisor for global quantum intelligence, and we do economic intelligence for the quantum computing, quantum technologies, and others. So the team actually build a landscape for cryogenics, because quantum computers require cryogenics. So if you want to see the future of quantum computers, you should also know how the future of cryogenics will be, right? So this is how we help industry to grow faster with the intelligence that we have.
You spent your career translating deep science into business value. Where is the moment that skill is genuinely tested? Not the pitch, but the actual rollout.
So, and you would have heard in this conference also a lot of people talk about building proof of concept, building a project, and but the biggest challenge happens, how do you scale? One of the term in AI people use take, oh, I'll build a model for production. But when we are talking about complex industries like oil and gas, energy, manufacturing, and others, there is nothing. What is production in this case? So what we have to say, what is field ready? Right? Field ready means I am putting some AI model, AI device, AI agent in a remote area. Now, is it really ready for that field? That if there was no human being, will it operate there in the right sense? So all those principles of governance, etc., will come. So as a scientist, we have the ability to actually think through this process and come up with the right way of delivering it, rather than just going by the notion, oh, the model worked, so it's 80% accurate and take it. That's not the main. We are not just focused purely on the accuracy of the model. The model has to be resilient, has to be autonomous, has to be communicative, right? Because you are putting in a remote field. So there is a big difference between building models for simpler industry versus complex industry. So as a scientist, that is where the maximum, what you call the knowledge helps, in terms of how do you take something from a proof of concept to proof of value to as field ready.
You did your MBA at Virginia Tech after a PhD in quantum chemistry. Why go back for the business degree at all?
Uh, on a lighter note, a business degree makes you more money, right? but no, that's not true. What couple of things, right? As a scientist, it's always you get into the weeds of things, right? But business is all about higher level perception, or so to say, But at the end of the day, whether it is research or whether it is a business, all have to tie in into the ecosystem. So having that knowledge of business actually helps you to even do better science, because you can, and if you want to do science for humanity, then you know where the money is coming in, how the money is being to be spent. All those fundamentals you don't learn as a scientist. You just do science, publish papers, teach, or keep doing more research, right? But you don't know how money flows in it really, except for when you're writing grants and you're struggling always, right? Getting money on grants is never easy. It's a lot of hard work. Whereas in MBA, you can get more money for whatever reason, right? So I think that combination is very, very powerful.
The last question is, energy is famously slow to adopt new tech. What actually got oil and gas companies to move on AI faster than people expected?
I still wouldn't call it that they move faster. They are still lagging in terms of adoption at scale. But yes, I would say after the chat GPT was released, people were in shock. Oh my god, what can AI do? Before that, they were not really ready to take traditional AI models to sincerity. But after chat GPT, yes, everybody is doing where we are being left behind. But still, I think they're not moving fast enough, because if they were moving fast enough, they should be really doing agentic AI now.
Thank you so much attending our interview today, Satyam. It was really lovely meeting. Enjoy at AI4 conference.